It's the Planet Fitness Strong Choice sale. Going for $1 down, $15 a month.
And we are live.
Fans are the true culprit.
We are live. So I'm gonna be reading all the comments. This was not a scheduled live stream. I just didn't have time to make a video today, so I think it's easier to just do a live stream than to record a video. So yeah, I'm gonna be reading all the comments like I did last time. Let's see. Okay. How's it going? I see 6 people in the chat. I don't have any specific topic for this live stream. Hola, saludos desde Perú. ¿Cómo está la cosa por allá por Perú? Someone from Peru. Hello, Plasma. How's it going, Soothma? How are you guys doing today? I've been playing Elden Ring. I finished Red Dead Redemption 2 finally. And after that, it's difficult to go back to any other game. The games are not that good anymore. So I have to go back to Elden Ring, which I haven't finished yet. So that's good. I don't want to finish Elden Ring. That's my go-to for when I don't know what to play. That's where I go. How's it going, Christopher? Saucy says, hey, Ariel, do you know if RTX HDR now works with OpenGL games? I think with the RTX HDR tweaks that I share, it works. But I don't know of any OpenGL game. I don't know. Which game are you trying to play that's OpenGL, aside from a tech demo or something like that? I don't know. So I haven't tried it. I know it works for Vulkan. Vulkan, DirectX 9, DirectX 10, 11, 12, of course. Oh, he's playing Metal Gear Solid 5 at the moment. So that's OpenGL? Huh. Interesting. Actually, I tried to install Metal Gear the other day and it didn't work. I have to figure that out. But yeah, I opened Metal Gear Solid back when I was in Cuba. So that's a very old version that I brought from Cuba. And it's not working. I don't know why. So yeah, but I didn't know it was OpenGL. I didn't notice that. How are you, Simon Hoshaw? I hope and trust you are doing well and life is treating you well too. Good to see you. All the best. Take care. I'm doing great, man. Everything is going my way. I'm just busy, especially with the guitar. You see, when I get into the song and I start making progress, I have to practice a lot, and that's what I've been doing. And then with the little time that I have remaining, I've been playing some games instead of making videos. That's the reality. But I want to make more videos. But yeah, it's tough because sometimes I have to decide between just resting and playing some games or making a video. That's not an easy choice sometimes. But yeah, I've been just playing some games. Christopher says, Minecraft, Java, Bedrock uses OpenGL. I've never played Minecraft, but yeah, give it a try with the tweaks, with the mod that I share. It should work, and if it doesn't work, you can force Windows 11 Auto HDR, and that should work. I think that works for OpenGL. You can force Windows 11 Auto HDR with the Leod Edge app, which you can download from GitHub. I share that too. So yeah, if it's not one, it's the other. And ultimately, if nothing works, SDR HDR trick. So you can use the SDR HDR slider on Windows, and especially if you have an LG TV, that's gonna work very nice with your tone mapping settings. Basically, the SDR HDR slider on Windows is 500 nits, so you can do tone mapping with 540 target with these LG OLEDs, and that looks very good. With tone mapping off, it looks very good. So that's an Auto HDR. And if it looks washed out, you can use the ICC profile I share with you, the De La Ranga, or you can use Reshape with the TRC shader and fix it. If it looks washed out, if not, then just go with that. Suzma says, I was thinking about building a new PC for 4K 120 or 60. Is AMD GPU good, or Nvidia is better for 4K? I heard Nvidia is better, but why? So the thing is, the games we have today, they are not 4K. So we are not talking about just raw performance. You always have TAA, or you have upscaling, which also uses temporal thing. So you are stuck with FSR 3 or 4 or whatever AMD comes with, and that's not better than DLSS. That's why I will go with Nvidia. Even when AMD GPUs are very good value, but the DLSS looks better, and most of the games you're gonna be playing with DLSS. So yeah, it's that simple. Nvidia is always ahead when it comes to upscaling. So even when you have better performance for your money with AMD, yeah, you have more frames, but if the upscaling is significantly worse, you have to go Nvidia, man. And I like what AMD is doing, especially with the frame gen, with the global frame generation that they have. They and they are going to improve the upscaling. FSR 4 is gonna be using some AI, so maybe they can catch up with Nvidia. But Nvidia is always ahead, and that's why they charge more money. I think I will go with Nvidia. Rimla says, "Hey Plasma, will you try getting a good deal on a QD OLED like an S90C or S90D?" Absolutely. On this Black Friday, yes, I will. Looking forward on a deep dive similar as the LG C1. Yes. You see, I am not a huge fan of QD OLED because the way the screen looks, but I am in a completely dark room. Like right now, I have all the walls are painted black, and I would never play with my lights on ever. So that shouldn't be a problem on a dark room. So yes, I will be getting a QD OLED for sure. I don't know when exactly. So what I'm going to do is I will get it, make some videos, and then it's gonna go to the living room for the family. So I'm still gonna keep the C1 for gaming. But of course, I will try it for a while. I'm gonna get the 55-inch version. Now the thing, so choosing between the S90C or the S90D, you have to be careful with the S90D, especially people trying to get that for PC gaming. You might get a WRGB OLED if you go with a small size, with a 42-inch. I asked Tech with KG, how do you know if you're getting QD OLED and not a WRGB OLED, especially if you order it online? Because of course you can always return it, but that's a hassle. So he said you have to read the advertisement. If you see it's advertising 144 hertz, that's most likely the QD OLED. If it says 120, then it's a WRGB. But yeah. So if you go with the S90C, that's gonna be a QD OLED for sure. I believe so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the problem with the S90D. But it should be better. But depending on the price, it might be safer to go with the S90C anyway. But yeah, I want to have a QD OLED to just to mess around with the settings and go to the service menu and start trying to make the C1 look the same when it comes to the white balance and all the stuff, or and the other way too. Of course, QD OLED is gonna have better color saturation. But yeah, I will be getting one. I learned a new Gojira song on a bass guitar with my brother. Learning music is fun. Yeah, absolutely. I recommend everyone to try and see if you have musical ear. Because you might have it, and maybe you don't know. So what I'm talking about is something that you're born with. You cannot teach that. So you're either born with a musical ear or not. It is a different kind of intelligence or capabilities. Some people don't have it, and you cannot teach it. So don't waste your time, is my recommendation. For my private students, I say no. So if the kid doesn't have musical ear, I tell the parents don't waste your time. If the kid enjoys that, go for it. But I would not use my time or give classes to someone who doesn't have the musical ear, because I cannot teach that. And it is essential for the way I teach. But yeah, if you have the musical ear, what is that? Basically, you can remember, at least in the short-term memory, how the pitch of the music, and then you can have it in your head for a moment, and then you can either sing or the note or play it on the instrument, basically. Maybe that's too simple of an explanation, but yeah, it's very easy to know. But if you have the musical ear, definitely you just get an instrument, do something with music, because it is going to develop that intelligence, that capability that you have. And I believe it's gonna make you smarter. And I think it's good for your well-being in general, just to play an instrument. Plasma, I bought my first OLED a few weeks ago. I was watching so many videos when I came across your channel. C4 42-inch, been loving it so far, and use your advice to get the best out of it. Thanks, bro. Glad to hear that, man. LG TVs are almost the same. So from the CX, even the C9, they have the same settings, very similar calibration controls, and they have changed just a little bit. I think that's very good, just to change, fix things, but not like change everything from one TV to the other. That's an approach that gives you just a better product in my opinion. It's like Toyota. Like if you're looking for a car, you get a Toyota car, you know that they have the same engine since 2016. They don't change anything. They just polish and fix what needs to be fixed, and what's working they keep it. So then you're buying a car today that's kind of old. It's not cutting edge technology, but it's very reliable, very solid. So I think LG has that approach, and it works. But yeah, of course, I would like a little bit more innovation from them when it comes to the technology. But I think the software is very good. Although I don't like them locking the settings and all of that. Great news to hear your life is going your way. I wish you continue musical success and happiness. Well, thank you very much, man. Manuel says, hello, Ariel. I hope you're well. I bought a 65-inch S90D today. Let's go. And I am very impressed with QD OLED as a gaming monitor. Yeah, congratulations, man. That's definitely a reason to get excited, man. A gaming monitor. A lot of people, coming from a crappy LCD monitor, if you get one of those QD OLEDs or even a WRGB OLED, you're gonna be blown away. Maybe the brightness is gonna be a downgrade when it comes to full screen brightness. Of course, LCDs are very bright, but it's just so much better. John's Deacon says, are you going to upgrade your TV? If so, to which one? Like I'm saying, I'm gonna get a QD OLED, but yeah, I'm gonna play with it, of course, but for a while, and I'm gonna make some videos. But I don't think I'm going to prefer that over the C1 just because of the BFI, which I use a lot. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna be trying that Samsung Game Motion Plus, see how good it is, and I'm interested to compare that with the motion interpolation softwares that we have on the PC to see if what Samsung is doing looks better. If it has less artifacts, and input lag is gonna win the software on the lossless scaling. It's gonna win because the input lag hit is very, very small. On the Samsung TV, I think it's like 30 milliseconds, something like that, which is still very good. But yeah, I'm going to try it, but that doesn't mean I'm going to replace my C1 for that. I don't know, maybe I will for a while, but yeah, I don't think I can let go the motion for better color saturation and more brightness. I don't think so. Victor says, Unreal Engine 5 looks and runs terrible. We are really going in the wrong direction with new games. Absolutely. They announced the other day the Unreal Engine 5.5 and all the new features. And what they didn't mention was anything about fixing stuttering, none of that. Of course, the engine itself, maybe it is possible to make a game that doesn't stutter, that looks great, but where is that game? Yeah, of course, Fortnite runs well. It looks very good, but I don't know, man. I don't think. Yeah, I think the thing is, everyone noticed the improvement in lighting, ray tracing and all that, the better shadows, the draw distance. That's all well and good. I'm not against progress. I am not against better graphics, of course not. But my thing is, you don't want to make the game blurry just to get better lighting. That doesn't make any sense, man. The sharpness, the fluidity, and how well the game run is more important. It's basically when you get a game on your PC, you change the settings. Most people that have experience with their PC, other people just play the game, open it, okay, whatever is default. But the people who change settings, what do? The first thing that they make sure is that they are getting the frame rate that as high as possible, basically, that their display can give them. So if they have 144 hertz display or 240, they try to get it as high as possible. And what do you have to do for that? You have to reduce settings. Of course, sometimes you have to reduce the resolution, but I don't see most people with experience. Let's say people who have a 4090. I don't see those people saying, okay, no, I'm gonna do DLSR 2.25 and get more pixels and ray tracing, everything maxed out to play at 60 frames per second. I don't see that happening for most people. So basically what I'm saying right now is the developers should do the same. They should target what people are looking for. People are looking for a game that looks sharp, it looks clear. And after that, okay, after the game runs well, looks sharp, it looks clear, then you add all the settings. So basically what I'm saying right now is I have a 4K 120 hertz. Is the game running at 4K, like through 4K everywhere? I don't want half resolution stuff. I don't care. Reduce the scope of the game. After I have 4K 120 FPS solid, my GPU is at 60%, then yeah, I want, okay, yeah, why don't they improve the shadows and give me better this and better that? After that, okay? And yeah, the expectation right now is that people are gonna use frame generation, upscaling, very aggressive upscaling, just to get 60 frames. That doesn't make sense. It's terrible. And that's what Unreal Engine 5 is all about. So I really don't like it at all. Do you still have a C1? Do you recommend the latest firmware? I didn't see an update, but I'll make a video about it. Yeah, I have a C1, of course. I'm gonna make a video as soon as I see the firmware update. Yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't been pressing the comments, but I'll do it now. I forgot. Murad says, I've been using my C1 wrong all this time. I was doing HDMI to HDMI, but I had an issue and put the cable and tried DisplayPort to HDMI. Wow, what a difference. Plus, I can handle 12-bit color. But do you have an HDMI 2.1? I don't know, why would you see any difference? And 12 bits is at 60 hertz. I don't think it makes any difference. Maybe if you use something like Special K and you get the bit rate higher or something like that, maybe it looks better. But I don't see any difference. But yeah, it's always good trying new things. I don't know why would you see a difference with something like that, but yeah. Is it only me, or is the monitors industry leaning into the OLED tech and slowly giving up on LCDs? I think so, because LCD monitors are smaller. I think it's gonna be more difficult to increase the dimming zones and get it closer to OLEDs. So when you see these huge, TCL or Hisense LCD TVs that are like over 100 inches or 98 inches, that they have a lot of dimming zones, very good contrast, a lot of brightness. You cannot get that right when you're with the same level right now on a small monitor, it seems. So I mean, OLED is just the way to go for monitors. Although maybe in the future we would have LCDs that have so many dimming zones like that. Yeah, it's gonna be superior to OLEDs in almost everything. But that micro contrast. But yeah, the monitors industry, I think the problem is the calibration is almost always messed up. Every time I watch a review from Monitors Unboxed or any other channel that does testing with accuracy and all of that. The HDR is super inaccurate. I don't care about accuracy too much, but when you look at the graph that they are showing, sometimes it's like that's almost broken. It's like crushing blacks or super overly bright, and it looks kind of washed out and clipping. And then the tone mapping, you never know about the tone mapping, because even on the reviews, they don't mention exactly what are the tone mapping options of the monitor, if any. Is the monitor changing the tone mapping depending on the HDR metadata? Is that communication happening? What are the targets? And what is the max CLL? So what is the content, the brightness that the content needs to call for that monitor to look the best? I don't see that information on the reviews, and I think that's really all that matters with an HDR monitor: accuracy of the monitor, settings and calibration controls. So if the white balance is kind of messed up, but then you have the calibration controls are locked on HDR, you cannot fix it. That's terrible. So that matters, and of course it matters the tone mapping of the monitor. Super important, and I don't see that information sometimes. Almost never, to honestly. Benny says, "Hey bro, I got the Sony M10S 480 Hertz OLED, and for some reason on the PIC 1300 mod, it doesn't clip. It clips at 2550 on all the modes on the Windows 11 HDR calibration app." Interesting. So first of all, the Windows 11 HDR calibration app is not nits. So the number that you see there is like a weird scale. So it's not like 1000 on that scale, or let's say 2000. It's not 2000 nits max CLL. But you can see exactly what it is, because after you change the slider, you go to display properties and you see, okay, it's actually set to, I don't know, 2200 is like 4000 nits. I don't remember. So you can see, what was that basically. But what you are describing, actually, we asked Classy Tech Calibrations during a live stream. He was on the chat, and we asked him about the tone mapping of the Sony A95L. And he explained that Sony, the tone mapping with Sony was such that it default to a 4000 nits tone curve. But what happened was basically, if you, let's say on the Windows HDR calibration app, you increase the slider until the logo disappears, then that's not where you want to have it. You want to have it way before that. So that's what you are saying, basically. You see that it is clipping after what it should be clipping, but you should set it way before the clipping point. Now, where are you supposed to set that? I don't know. And I don't think I can tell you how to make sure of that other than just using your eyes. Because the thing is, you're saying you have a 1300 nits mode. It's not going to clip. What I'm saying is, okay, maybe with that monitor, you have to set it to 1300 nits, even if it's not clipping. Because if you set it to the clipping point, it's gonna look blown out. But maybe the best, the sweet spot is not that 1300 nits. It's a little bit higher, but I don't know where it would be. And I don't know how to I don't know how to test that. I don't know, but I'll think about it. Yeah, I don't know how you can test that, because yeah, if you open a clipping pattern, it's not clipping. You think, oh, I have to increase the max CLL. I have to increase the peak brightness slider on the game. But if you do that, you cannot increase it until the logo disappears, because you're gonna overdo it, basically. That's the problem with the Sony tone mapping, basically. But after you find that sweet spot, which is between that 1300 and that 2550 that you see, or more, whatever it is, after you find that sweet spot, then it's gonna look good. But you have to find that where that is. That's messed up, man. That these companies need to, especially for PC gaming, if you have a monitor, they have to have an HGIG mode. What is HGIG? It's like a reference monitor. Okay, HGIG is basically no tone mapping other than ABL. Of course, there's always gonna be, at least for now, tone mapping due to ABL. The power restrictions. You cannot have all the brightness of the display at 100% window size. So that tone mapping is going to be there, but no more tone mapping. Other than that, no tone mapping. That should be a must. And I don't know why it's so difficult for these companies. I don't understand why would that be more difficult than the mess that they have. Because on the PC, you no longer need tone mapping on the display. We don't need that. The games have sliders, most of them. RTX HDR have a slider. Windows 11 Auto HDR has the HDR calibration app. And if none of that works, we have reshade. And with reshade, we have the Lilium shaders, and we can do tone mapping with reshade. So there's zero reason on the PC with any TV or monitor. That goes for TVs too. TVs have to have, if they are thinking about PC gaming, and they do because they have all the features now for PC gaming, they have to have HGIG, no tone mapping on the display, an option. Okay, and I don't know why is that so difficult. Basically, LG is the only, on their TVs, on their monitors, I don't think they even have HGIG. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's a mess. Could you please give me some input, please? Even the BESA 402 through black mode clips only at 2550. It doesn't make sense. So I think that 2550 is probably 4000 nits, because again, 2550 on the HDR calibration app does not nits. It's a weird scale. So that's probably 4000 nits. And if that's the same as the A95L, because it's a Sony, I think Classy, if I remember correctly, Classy said 1750 was was the target, was the peak brightness, the max CLL that you want on the game. So it looks the best, basically. I think it was 1850, but go back and watch that live stream. I think it was 3 live streams ago, 2 or 3 live streams ago, where Classy made that comment. But I don't know, it might be different for that monitor, but it might be exactly the same. ASO says, is there a difference between HDR RGB 8-bit signal and HDR RGB 10-bit signal? People in the internet are saying there's no difference even between 422 HDR signal. I want use my HDMI 2.0 matrix. There is a difference, and I can clearly see the difference with my high contrast theme on Windows. So you see, because the text on my PC is yellow, the saturation of that yellow against a completely black background makes it very clear to see. for example, if I ever did something with the HDMI settings or something like that, and it is not on PC mode, so I am not getting full chroma, I see that yellow looking kind of washed out. It doesn't have the same color saturation. And with my plasma TV, if I am not on the PC mode and I don't get the full chroma, same thing. That yellow looks significantly, less colorful. So yeah, there is a difference. In real content, it might be more difficult to notice. But think about that is like color resolution, basically. That's how I can put it as simple as possible. That's color resolution. So yeah, it is noticeable. But if you have a device that's HDMI 2.0, you want to use it, go for it. If you cannot tell the difference on the game themselves, then it doesn't really matter that much. Do you think QD OLED technology is the future of TVs? I thought OLEDs were the best, but I've seen some pretty compelling evidence that QD OLEDs are better for gaming. No, future not. Absolutely not. The future is gonna be something with LEDs that are not organic, that they're not going to burn in, basically. So probably nano LED is gonna be the future, because they're saying that nano LED is going to be cheap. It's gonna be cheaper than micro LED, significantly cheaper, and it's gonna be significantly cheaper than micro LED before micro LED becomes mainstream. So basically, it's gonna kill micro LED. But yeah, that's probably the future. It's gonna be super bright, perfect blacks. I mean, insane. But yeah, QD OLED is not it. But for now, I think that QD OLED will jump in brightness and color and everything once they improve the blue subpixel, so that they are working this phosphorus and fluorescent and phosphorescent blue subpixel. Once they have that mixture, calibrated or whatever they have to do, once they have the sweet spot so it doesn't burn in, if they basically, the QD OLEDs have blue OLEDs. It's like a backlight of blue OLEDs, basically, and a quantum dot layer. So those blue right now, they are fluorescent, and fluorescent doesn't have the same efficiency as phosphorescent. So once they have that phosphorescent, or a combination between fluorescent and phosphorescent, whatever it is, that's just going to boost QD OLED technology massively. And I don't know how LG will compete. Even if they eliminate the white subpixel and they put that improved blue, the red and the green are phosphorescent right now. So I don't see that them doing the same jump that QD OLED can do. But yeah, let's see. Hybrid asked me, have you checked out Silent Hill 2 remake? No, I haven't. I haven't played. I'm not a big fan of the horror games. I've never been a fan of getting scared on the game, but I think Silent Hill was a great game. I played a little bit of one of the Silent Hills on the PC. I don't remember which one it was. It was good, but I was never a fan of Resident Evil, these kind of games. But yeah, what's up with that is that the HDR is kind of messed up. Man, I love your videos and a personality very unique and enjoyable watching. You get worked up by the scenes of the gaming industry. I'm just having fun, man. I never get really, upset. I'm having a laugh because that's what this is about. Just having a good time. Honestly, I like more doing live streams than recording videos. This is what I like to do the most. And I haven't had the chance to set up the PC so I can be just playing a game and just reading the comments. That's what I would like to do, honestly. More than making videos. But yeah, I have to, of course, keep making videos. Keep on killing it, man. Thank you, man. Maria says, what's the best if you're looking for the lowest input lag 1080p and good black levels? So you're saying getting a 1080p screen today, it has to be a plasma. That's the only 1080p screen that would make sense today. So think about this: a plasma TV is self-emissive. Okay, so some people might think, "Oh, 1080p is why would anyone get 1080p today? It doesn't make any sense. It looks very blurry, right?" It's a plasma. The plasma TV have, because they are self-emissive, they have better contrast. That contrast is going to give you a higher perceived resolution. Okay, so I'm not saying you're going to get more pixels, of course not, but because of the contrast, it's going to look sharper. It's going to appear to look sharper. Of course, not better than OLED, but if you compare that with just an LCD, plasmas are very good. Also, they have better motion clarity versus just sample and hold. So a plasma TV looks almost 4 times better than sample and hold. So they have 4 milliseconds of persistence at 60 hertz. So 60 should be 16.6 milliseconds of persistence, sample and hold. So they are flickering. Plasma is flickering. Some people might be bothered by it, but myself, I can see the flickering on my plasmas. I have 2, but it's not a deal breaker. And actually, plasmas, even at 24 hertz, are usable. I don't think there's any other impulse display technology that at 24 hertz is not like eye-searing flickering, because CRTs 24 hertz just have too much flickering. So yeah, plasma is what I would get. Like, which plasma would you get? I would go for the better brands. Panasonic is probably the best brand, or Pioneer. This Pioneer Kuros. But I would recommend you try to get a Panasonic from 2013 or as close to that as possible. And probably the best Panasonic plasma TV is the ST60. That's probably what I would go with. Why? Because the ST60 has better input lag than the CT60, and it is brighter too. Because the Panasonic, the one that, by the way, that's the TV that HD TV Test used to basically kill plasma. In his channel, he said, "Okay, this is the last video I'm going to make about plasmas. Let's just let plasma technology die. What we have now is much better." And I think he jumped on that way too soon, because back when he made that video, the TVs available were not so good to kill plasma. Definitely not. And the thing is, the CT60 is a fantastic plasma, probably the best one. One of the best ones for sure. But it's not that bright because of the screen coating. Of course, that screen coating is gonna give you better blacks, better contrast. But the ST60 doesn't have that. So you're gonna get more raised blacks under lighting conditions. It's gonna look super washed out. But in a dark room, that might not be a problem. And it is a lot brighter than the CT60. Now, the biggest problem with plasma TVs is that the black floor gets degraded with time, with use. So if you get an ST60 or CT60 today, that's not going to look the same as brand new. It's going to be very good, but it's not going to look the same. That's the reason why probably the Pioneer Kuros from the 9th generation, so basically the last Pioneer Kuros, they are so sought after because you can reset the black floor and get it to almost factory levels. So it's probably the Pioneer Kuros from 9th generation are probably the only plasmas that would let you see plasmas as they really were brand new. And of course, that's if you get one with low hours. If it has a lot of hours, plasma TVs lose brightness too over time. So, but yeah, lowest input lag and all of that. Of course, you have to go OLED, 480 hertz OLED or something like that. And maybe that's what you're looking for. Douglas Wright says, I think I made a mistake by selling my 48 C1 for a 55 S90D for around the same price. Thoughts, Miss BFI? No, I don't think that's a bad choice at all. Same price. I mean, the S90D is much better. There's no question about that. But I would have just keep the C1 and get the S90D if you can, of course, because of that BFI. But the S90D is better in every way. It's brighter, it's way more colorful. Yeah, I mean, it's not close. And you got a bigger screen size too. That's a no-brainer. 55 inches better. I mean, the bigger the better, in my opinion. No question about that. What do you think about the? Oh man, I don't want to talk about that. I'm sorry. It's sad, man. It is really sad. But I try to stay away from the news. I don't want to know because there's a lot of things that are messed up, and there's a lot of sad things I don't want to hear about. So most of the things that we, of course, if you are living there, that's terrible, man. But if you are living in the US or you are somewhere where you are not directly affected by those things, it's better not to know, because you don't want things that have nothing to do with you to affect you, basically. And the news are full of negative things. I don't want to hear about it, basically. So yeah, that's probably maybe why we decided to not release basically have it private. The last live stream that we did with Gaming Tech, we decided to let's just talk about what we know and focus on just helping the community, just have a chat about the things that we know, because these topics, when you start talking about, politics, and that's just some people don't want to hear about that, and I understand myself. I don't want to hear about none of that. So yeah, maybe it's better to just focus on the things that make you feel good, happy, entertained, and yeah, forget about the negative stuff. And I think that's better for us. Have you considered replacing your C1 with a G1 for the small increase in brightness? Yeah, I've been many times. I've been on the Facebook Marketplace searching for a cheap G1 that's bigger, like a 55, and I've seen it for like $800 sometimes. But it has been like a very far trip, and I cannot fit that on my car. I have two cars, a sedan and SUV. And yeah, it's not gonna fit there either. So I would have to rent a truck. So you're gonna rent a truck. I rented a truck the other day, was like $90 total with all the trips that I did and everything. So the thing is, you're gonna rent a truck, get there, and then the TV has an issue or something, you know. It's difficult. It's difficult to get on the used market, but because yeah, they don't sell them brand new anymore. But yeah, I would definitely recommend you hunt for one if you can. Douglas says, being scoring Facebook marketplace. I did some. I did save it's 55 C1, but doesn't have the Evo panel. If that even matters, it doesn't really matter because they are restricted by software. Basically, the performance is gonna be very similar. So yeah, I mean, the performance is gonna be about the same. Now, the only difference you might see is, you know, the pink tint that they were complaining about and all of that. But if anything, the Evo panel is worse when it comes to that. But I'm not sure. So it doesn't really matter. The thing that I would look for is, of course, dead pixels. People sometimes they might want to get rid of their OLED because it has defects, and maybe it's a defect that's very difficult to notice. So I will go there and just look at it with a microscope. You know what I would do? Go with my phone camera and zoom in, because yes, you're not gonna be like nose on the screen. It's very tough to see. But if you zoom in with your phone, you can, you know, go left to right, top to bottom, and examine the screen with a gray. So full screen gray. Open a YouTube video that's full screen gray, and then see if you have dead pixels or burning. That's what I would do. But the Evo thing, I don't think it matters. Yeah. Hybrid said, I tested the Unreal Engine 5.5 megalights preview. From checking the code, it accumulates 12 past frames to make the effect work. And it has extreme ghosting as a result. There you go, man. It is like, so with Unreal Engine 5 and basically with the trend of the industry that I see is whatever it takes to make that commercial on YouTube look better, basically. Because when you have better lighting and all of that, yes, on a YouTube video, it looks very good. Because on a YouTube video, you cannot see the defects that you're going to see when you actually use the engine, you play the game on your big, especially if you have one of these big OLEDs. So it's like people don't see the problem. They just, oh, it looks great. Wow, fantastic. Bad idea. Of course, I understand. There's always some compromises, obviously. And you know, compromises are necessary, they are okay. But when you compromise so much, you know, reduce the resolution of this, reduce the resolution of that, ghosting here, then ghosting with upscaling, ghosting with the frame generation, is like a mess. At the end, is a mess. What I want, honestly, and by the way, Hybrid is a developer, so I mean, he knows what he's talking about. What I want, if you ask me, hey, you know, you have the power to determine, yeah, here's the game. We have all the settings of the engine here to tweak the performance or whatever. Tell me what you want. I would say, I want 4K to look like 4K. So 4K is not supposed to look blurry, and it's not supposed to have such a terrible shimmering everywhere. I want more pixels. Okay, I want more pixels. If you have to sacrifice this and that or reduce the scope of the game, I am okay with it. I want clear, so I don't want any temporal thing. I want clear motion. Or if you give me a temporal anti-aliasing, make it so I don't see any difference between a static and moving picture. Okay, I don't want to see any difference on that, and I want that to look like 4K, basically. So I want more pixels, I want more clarity, I want more performance, of course, no stuttering, all of that. After that, okay, let's see the GPUs people have available today. Let's see what is the best of the best. For example, right now we have 4090. Okay, how is this game going to perform on a 4090? It has to be, the performance needs to be absolutely incredible at 4K. I mean, a 4090 cannot drop below 120. It cannot. If you want to have futuristic settings with ray tracing, path tracing, all of that, I am okay with that. But I'm talking about the creator's intent cannot be 60 FPS with frame generation and aggressive upscaling with a 4090. That doesn't make any sense, man. No sense. So basically, I want to make sure that the best of the best can crush the performance on this game. Then we go down from there. But yeah, it's my point. You understand my point. I want better looking game, not just lighting and shadows, just the way it looks. This question is in Spanish. I'm gonna translate that. He says he bought a C2 a year ago, but when he was gonna play the PS5 in motion, it was not fluid at 60 FPS. It was like laggy, and he tried to unplug the TV many times, and the problem goes away. So unplugging the TV from the wall fixes that. I don't know, man. I don't know why would that happen. I would check the resolutions, the output of the PS5. I think is either 60 hertz or 120. But I'm not sure. I don't know why would you have something weird going on there that got fixed by unplugging the TV from the wall. But yeah, I mean, who knows? I would have to be there. So we've been for 1 hour. So what I'm gonna do is when we get to the 1 hour mark, I'm gonna go to the last comment, and then I'm going to go from the last comment until the top to read all of them until I get here. Because I said I was gonna read all the comments. That's what I do. Douglas Wright said around the same price sold, same price bought. 77-inch S90C was arguably the best purchase I've ever had. Like new with 5 years of warranty for $1,310 plus $299 for warranty that covers burning. I mean, that's crazy. 77-inch for $1,300. I don't know where you got that. That's insane. For $1,300, a 55-inch is a good deal, let alone 77-inch. That's crazy. Bimop says S90C and S90D in the US have the 588 model can be modded to 2000 nits and increase in all Windows sizes. I don't know what you mean by the 588 model, but yeah, I've heard about that. You can go on the service menu and get more brightness. Basically, this is the comment I read. But yeah, I don't know. Tell me, what is that 588 model? Renan Rodriguez says, would you be able to post more gameplay videos on plasma TVs? There's little content about this. I find a lot of gameplay on CRT, but not on plasma. Sure. Plasma TV looks very good on camera. I have to disclaim that. Actually, it might look better on camera than in person. Okay, because it's gonna look brighter, and there's no, on camera the plasma looks the best. The plasma technology looks the best. For example, WRGB OLEDs looks like green or super blue. QD OLEDs look kind of magenta, but plasmas, they look perfect. It looks so good on camera. So it might be a little bit deceiving to see the plasma camera. I would have to adjust the camera settings, but then again, I'm adjusting the camera settings using my phone, which the screen is like super bright, so it's tough to give you so you can see how it looks like. It's even just the brightness is very difficult. Did games become worse in your opinion? Cash grabs due to gaming being mainstream now, unnecessary remakes, games taking more years to be made and yet half-baked, focusing too much on graphics. So for me, of course, the games that we have today are the best we've ever had. I mean, that's a fact. They are better, but I understand why we see a lot of complaints with the gaming industry. They're trying to make money, and adding all these microtransactions and focusing on the wrong things with all this politics and stuff that they're trying to inject to the games, and a lot of like copy and paste, like same game, especially with Ubisoft. We see games are very similar, but they're trying to release way too many games, in my opinion. But I think right now we have the best, of course, because we also have the old games if that's what you want to play. We have some very good new games today. But yeah, I mean, I see the problems, and I don't think it's because they're focusing too much on graphics. Actually, I wish they focus more on how the game look, because they are looking very bad in my opinion. But sometimes the games are not focused on the right thing, which is just making it look and play good. Yes, but I see the problems, but I don't have a pessimistic view. I think right now we have the best available, of course, and we have the old stuff too. Yeah, that's what I did. Being both S90C and S90D are 2000 nits. It is phenomenal. Yeah, service menu on the Samsung is nice. You can get more brightness. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go with this question, and then I'm gonna go to the very bottom, and I'm gonna go up. Douglas Wright says, only reason I missed the 48-inch C1 is because the PPI was doable, and I usually play in a pitch black, so brightness wasn't an issue for me. You see, the PPI thing with the screen size, I don't think it really matters that much when it comes to the quality that you're going to get. It's 4K, it's 4K. It doesn't matter if it's small or bigger size. What matters is the pixels per degree of view. And when you have a bigger screen size, you can sit closer. It makes more sense to sit closer, and that's where you can see the difference, of course. But I like bigger screen size and sit closer. That gives you more immersion. But I don't think, some people think that a 1440p monitor somehow is going to look sharper because it's 32 inches or even 27 inches than a 4K OLED. It will not. You have less resolution. It will not be sharper, even if the PPI is much better. It will not look better. So yeah, it is a damn shame that 77-inch S90D wasn't Gen 3. Would have been 3000 nits modded. Yeah. I think Samsung should definitely release an S95D with a glossy finish. I mean, the other day I watched the Digital Trends video about the Hisense UX. That's huge TV, very expensive, over $10,000. Super bright, a lot of dimming zones. It's a monster of a TV. So it's basically a Halo product. And he was complaining not complaining. Like he mentioned at the end. Let me be fair. He mentioned at the end that this TV not having an anti-reflective coating might be an issue. Let's see on the review. So he was like, oh, like maybe he would like to have the anti-reflective coating, but maybe not. Like he's not like he said something defined about that. But the thing is, in my opinion, Halo product, the best of the best, there's no reason to be. I mean, to watch that TV on a bright room makes no sense, in my opinion. Basically, you don't get a Halo product. You don't spend $10,000 on a TV and not have ideal conditions to watch that. In my opinion, like if someone has a lot of money and they just want to have that on the living room, full of lights everywhere, that's on them, and that's okay. Probably people who have that kind of money, some of them they would not care at all about that. But yeah, I mean, I don't think so. Like anyone spending that kind of money, even if you have a lot of money, even if you're a millionaire, you care about this stuff. And if you care about this stuff, you're in a completely dark room. So basically, you do not want an anti-reflective surface treatment on the TV whatsoever. You want exactly what Hisense did with that UX, a mirror. Okay, this is a mirror. That TV, even on the Digital Trends video, it looks like a black hole. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. That thing was black. Perfect. It's a mirror. So perfect. So I was surprised to hear him, Caleb, say that, oh, maybe the not having an anti-reflective surface treatment, coating, might be a problem. That's not a problem. It's a Halo product. It's the best of the best. There's no way anyone should be watching that in a bright room. Makes no sense. Even with all the brightness that TV has, that's for a perfectly black room. That's my opinion. So yeah, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go down to the very last comment, and then I'm gonna be reading from that one up, and then we'll finish the stream when I get to the end. So let's see how many comments we have. Okay, so this is the last one. LG way better on European market. Is that because of the price? Maybe. He said he bought a 55-inch G4 for 1,300 euros. The 65-inch S90D, who is the only QD OLED, here cost 1,700. Yeah, but it's 65-inch. So you would have to compare 65 G4 with that. So yeah, I think that's fair. Of course, euro is a lot more expensive than US dollars. No question about that. But the jump in price from 55 to 65, it doesn't look like outrageous, but it is very expensive in comparison. So Douglas is saying that's insane. G4 is the same price for sure, especially since they fixed game mode. G4 costs the same price than an S90D W OLED here. He's never seen a Samsung WRGB. Yeah, so the Samsung WRGB OLEDs, maybe you can also, you have the same service menu and probably same settings, so you can also get more brightness over there. I'm a big fan of that. I wish these companies give you the ability to basically break the TV if you want. You want all the brightness? Just give me a disclaimer. Hey, you're about to release more brightness. You can burn in the TV or whatever. The thing is power limitations. I think that's probably, no, for sure, the power restrictions are the main thing against we getting better TVs, especially TVs. they don't make any sense in my opinion. We are not trying to save the planet with high-end TVs. The $3,000 TV is not to save the planet. Okay, same way you get a 40, 50, 90 PC that consumes a lot of power. Who cares? Okay, you're not trying to save the planet with that. It's just nonsense. So why are you going to restrict the TVs to such a low power? It just doesn't make any sense. That's okay if they want to have the TVs out of the box in eco mode. Who cares? I can change the settings. Some people might not enjoy their TVs ever because they don't know how to change settings or they don't care or whatever. So it's bad for that sense. But for people who want, they can at least. So yeah, basically my plasma TV is 524 watts. Okay, imagine a 500 watts plus TV today. How bright is that going to be? I mean, that Hisense UX, that's gigantic. I don't know what's the power consumption of that, but it might be 300 watts or something like that. So imagine a TV today with that kind of power, especially one of these LCD TVs. It's gonna be crazy. Yeah, buying a Samsung and finding out it's a WRGB OLED. Yeah, definitely change it, because if you're going with the WRGB, get an LG. That's for sure. But yeah, Samsung messed it up with the S90D. You have to make sure you get a QD OLED. Rimple says, for anyone wondering, the S90D on the 65-inch size are all QD OLED in Europe. All the other sizes are W OLEDs. So only the S90D 65-inch size, only that 65-inch is QD OLED in Europe. Wow. So, and people need to know that, man. Thanks for sharing that. It's crazy. They should have that on the box. I think that's why Samsung didn't, they didn't want to have QD OLED marketing. They just say OLED. So because they knew they were gonna do this shenanigan. It's a big difference. Completely different TV. You cannot advertise it as the same name. That's just it just doesn't make any sense. Douglas says 2000 nits peak brightness on Gen 2 QD OLED panels. The 588 means second gen. Okay, I'm assuming. Okay, and where is that 588? Is that at the in the serial number at the beginning, at the end? Where is that number? A shame S90D is only a US TV. Get an S90C if you have that. They are almost the same. I don't know if anyone has got the 682 in the US. I would hate being the first. I don't know what the 682 is. I guess you're talking about the first gen or third gen. Yeah, the ABS forums was saying some had the 682, but they are overseas. Now tell me, what is that 682 thing? Let me see. Oh, 588 and a pick number is in the service menu. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So that's basically the value that you change on the service menu. So you're saying by default what it has on the service menu. So what does that mean? That means that if you have on the service menu, so 682 and a pick is lower peak brightness. Okay. So if you go to the service menu, the default value is 588. So 682 and a pick is lower peak brightness. So what does that mean? If the TV has by default on the service menu 682, it means that it has lower peak brightness. If your default is in, then you, if your default is 682, then you can't mod it to 2000 nits. Interesting. So basically, because that's the maximum value, 682 is the maximum value. So if it is already there, you cannot go higher. But if it is 588, then you can increase it. Is that what it is? That's interesting. I never read. I know that on the AVS forums, there's a tutorial to get that, but I never, read that because I don't have the TV yet, but I'll definitely get into it when I get it. But I think this is very important for people to know. Everyone should know if they can get more performance on their TVs. Yeah, you want the 588 and a big panel. Okay. Interesting. Let me see where I was going with this. Shock some coming at 682. Yeah, I'm trying to get the 65-inch S90D this week. I'm hoping it is the 588 and not the 682. Yeah, and the thing is, how do you know until you get it and you open it? Yeah, maybe if you go to the store and you're like, okay, I wanna try it right now, and then right there on the store you open the box. I don't know if you can do that. And say, okay, no, this is Anapix 682. I don't want this one. Give me another one. You keep trying TVs until you get the one you want. Isra says, my next question is, if I do tone mapping with reshade, is it affect the performance or input latency? Yes, it should, but insignificant. Not latency. I don't think it's gonna affect latency. Performance, yeah, maybe 1 frame or something like that. I don't think it's gonna be relevant at all. Maybe not even 1 frame. I've never checked, but yeah, probably just turning on HDR is gonna be more demanding than that tone mapping. Turning on HDR might be 1 or 2 frames. So yeah, just gonna sell this. Yeah. I think I solved my own problem. 55-inch C1, 77 S90C until I eventually use my warranty on 77 S90C and next gen OLED technology after 8+ months. 8K needed for no AA. Yeah, probably more. Because here's the problem. And I see we have a super chat. Thank you for that. I'll get to your comment now. Here's the problem. The games are not 4K. So when you have 4K resolution, the things, all the assets are not 4K. So even if you have 8K, not everything is 8K. Yeah, if it was 8K, like true everything is 8K, maybe anti-aliasing, maybe we'll get just a little bit of aliasing on very fine details. That's why I say we need more pixels. We don't want developers just lowering the pixel count everywhere, especially they lower the pixel density in stuff that really need more pixels, like hair. Like you lower the pixels on the hair and everything, and you have the hair all the time on the main character, it looks terrible. So yeah, if we had through 8K, everything is 8K. Yeah, I don't think we need anti-aliasing at all. So thanks, Benny, for the super chat. Benny says, I appreciate your response. I've tried everything to make the HDR to peak at 1300 correctly. Nothing has worked. Have 60 days to return. Waiting firmware. Oh, so you are so you're the one with the comment with the Sony monitor. Huh. The thing is, how can you test what is the sweet spot if the sweet spot is not the clipping point? So if you use a test pattern on any monitor or TV, you're testing, the tone mapping, or what is the value on your PS5 HDR, system level calibration, or Xbox, or on the PC, whatever. The way to know what is the point is where you see clipping. And the problem with the Sony tone mapping is that when you see clipping, you passed it. So you passed the sweet spot, the where you want to have the slider. So because the TV is doing a tone mapping, that's weird. It's a dynamically weird. But if you knew what was that value, then it should look good. But it's what I'm saying. Why Sony? Here's the thing. Sony is all about accuracy, right? They have the reference monitor. They win the TV shootout. That's something I don't really understand, how with all the professional calibrators there to say that Sony is the best. How can Sony be the best with that tone mapping that's so messed up? Because HDR accuracy, it depends a lot on the tone mapping, because these TVs are not bright enough to have no tone mapping. And even if they have an HDIG option, there's still tone mapping due to APL. So tone mapping is super important. How can they win the most accurate, the best TV and all of that with such a messed up tone mapping? It doesn't make any sense. But the thing is, there has to be a value that's the sweet spot that makes it look perfect. But how can you know that? You need to use your eyes, is the only thing. And it is so difficult because you have to find the examples, many examples, and then just go and tweak the values. So here's what I would recommend you. I would use reshade, because with reshade you can change the max CLL of the game on the fly, and you can go back and forth and see what looks better. So I would use the Major Paint the Cactus add-on to reshade, because with that you have from 10,000 nits to whatever you want to choose. So with that, I think you can use your eyes and start changing the peak brightness to see what is the sweet spot, basically. But I don't think that is a reason to return it. If it looks good, it's good. So I would use your eyes, especially if you have something to compare that monitor. So he's talking about a monitor. It's a 480 hertz OLED from Sony, which I've never heard of that. That has to be very new. So I would, if you have something to compare that, a reference monitor would be ideal. But I don't know if you have any of these big OLED TVs. Compare that, and if it looks good, it's good. You just need to find what is that max CLL that you need to make it look the best. That's the thing. How can you know? So yeah, let me. So he said he haven't tried that yet. It seems it is not just me. Yeah, other people complaining about that on Reddit. The monitor with the same issue. You made a thread. Yeah, it's so dumb. I got the Asus version first, I still have 3 weeks to return the Asus. I got the Sony after its shadow drop because it is on Best Buy and I can get Git Squad warranty for burning. Also, it's the same panel, one made by Asus and one by Sony. Maybe the Asus has the same issues. Maybe not. The Asus looks phenomenal on HDR 1300. Oh well. So basically, it's the same panel, but the software is the one doing the tone mapping, and Sony messed it up. Look at that. Sony, the reference company, how can they have worse tone mapping than Asus? How is that possible? Tell me, like, it's just, I don't understand, because they are not incompetent. I mean, they are making the reference monitor, but it looks like other people are making the reference monitor, not the people working on that monitor. I just don't know, man. It looks like they copy and paste the firmware from a TV or something like that. For competitive FPS, I don't mind glossy. Is for sure way better. Yeah, gloss is better. Okay, let me go back to where I was. I'll be doing this for like 2 hours. We'll finish at 2 hours. I'll try to keep reading all the comments until 2 hours. Let me see where I was. Okay, so I was reading these comments. Rufus says, yeah, it is some really shady business from Samsung. Yeah, that S90D having WRGB and QD OLED, it just, and they don't tell you that should be illegal, honestly. Yeah. They shouldn't be able to get away with that. It's just completely different TV. They have to, on the box, it should say QD OLED or WRGB OLED and explain what that is, because it's something completely different. Energy saving in 2024 when you have nuclear plants available. That's a shame. Yeah, I mean, I understand, saving power with cheap TVs. That's what most people have at home. But saving power with $3,000 TVs, like, doesn't make any sense. To go, hey, Manuel, ¿cómo está la cosa? So I have a friend from Cuba here on the chat. Nice to see you, looking sharp. Thank you very much. Yeah, he's a friend. He's very smart. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. He's like a math genius. S90D, WOLED, it's no comparison. Okay, so I got to this. I'm caught up already. So let me start reading from where I left, from the last comments before the super chat. Okay, so I was here with these comments. That's where we left. If the default on the Sony, on the Samsung QD OLEDs on the service menu is 682, then you cannot mod it to 2000 nits. You want a 588 and a big panel. So basically, you can mod the 588 and a big panel higher brightness in all window sizes. 682, you can mod it to 1500 nits, so it's still not bad. So, but when you say you can mod it, what is that you do? You increase the number or decrease the number, and what is the value that you have to set these QD OLEDs to get that brightness, that maximum peak brightness? Trust Style says, yeah, unfortunately, they still release low textures on recent games. Oh, yeah, and I'm not, yeah. They have, sometimes they have some very, very low resolution textures that are like insane. Like, so it's such a difference with the rest of the game. It's like super blurry and non-defined texture. And sometimes in your face, like a big in your face, low resolution texture. But yeah, and then you see the VRAM usage of the games like 6 gigabytes or something like that at 4K. Why they didn't increase that? But yeah, Benny, have you tried to change the color profile to sRGB DCI-P3? Is that no? I have not tried that. Oh, that's what he said. My friend fixed the issue on his monitor by changing that. Okay. The other modes have dynamic tone mapping for some reasons. Yeah, that's the problem, dynamic tone mapping. So what about peak brightness settings on OLED monitors, like high and low? Supposedly high is less accurate in some monitors, like HDR 400. Yeah, the thing is with HDR, you want accuracy. You want the monitor to follow the EOTF. Increasing the brightness is for the highlights. So it is, the idea is that it keeps following the EOTF further, but not to make everything overly bright. And some of these monitors, they have a super broken mode and a less broken mode. You cannot get it right on any mode. It's crazy. LG TVs are basically probably the closest you can get out of the box to follow the EOTF and do hard clipping without tone mapping with the HGIG. Yeah, it is. Benny says, yeah, it is so dumb, man. I got the Asus version. Okay, I read this one already. Is the Asus glossy or matte? Matte for competitive FPS, I don't mind. The glossy is for sure way better. Yeah, if the same panel has a glossy finish, I'll go with the glossy for sure. The blacks are also raised horribly on the Sony. Like in Windows HDR, the Asus doesn't look bad. I also realized that the Sony has a worse coating. The blacks are a little more raised and it is grain. Yeah, you should definitely, the thing is, you don't have both, but it will be good that you make a post, and because you had both monitors. It's basically the same panel, one from Asus and one from Sony. And yeah, that difference, people definitely need to know that difference. Probably the Sony is not more expensive, but yeah, probably about the same price. Did you beat Space Marine 2? No, actually, I didn't play the game. I will, but I've been trying to find something to fill the void of finishing Red Dead Redemption 2. And yeah, I went back to keep playing Elden Ring. I haven't finished it yet. It's difficult. Red Dead Redemption 2 was so good, man. It was so good. So yeah, Space Marine 2 is more like just playing for a moment, and yeah, playing like 30 minutes, 1 hour or something. And then I get bored and I'll play something else. But it's not that game like, Red Dead, that you're following the story and you want to keep playing because of the story. But the gameplay is very fun. I like the parry on Space Marine 2. I like the gameplay. It was good. Only the peak brightness change or real scenes as well. I exist without my consent 24 minutes ago. Hello, that's his name. He said, hello, I wanted to thank you for your videos. I learned a lot. Well, thank you very much. I exist without my consent 24 minutes ago. I played Black Myth Wukong without the sharpening, and even if the game looks good, there are textures worse than all the games. Yeah, I mean, I have not played Black Myth Wukong yet. Some people say that the actual game looks better than the benchmark. Yeah, I hope so, because the benchmark looks very bad, in my opinion. But yeah, I'll definitely play it, and it's probably gonna be one of my. It's gonna end up being one of my favorite games. But yeah, I didn't like how the game looked. When I opened that benchmark, I was like, man, this is like one of the worst things I've ever seen. It looks overly sharp and blurry at the same time. It's just a complete mess. You're playing at 4K and it looks like a plasma TV, like a 1080p, basically. So I don't see any difference between my 4K OLED and my plasma TV. That's when you know there's something really wrong about it. Crazy. Ezra says, I use HDIG and do Windows 11 HDR calibration and Eclipse at 780 on my LG C342. Mean that's the peak brightness, so it is 780 nits. No, actually 780 number on the HDR calibration app on Windows 11. That's actually 800. So it's a weird scale. It's not that number 780 is not 780 nits. That is a weird a scale. I don't know why they did that. You know, if it's HDR, it needs to be mysterious and broken for some reason. I don't know why they didn't just have the scale like nits. But basically, go to the display settings and you will see that it says 797, not 780. But it wouldn't really matter that much. It's so close that it doesn't really matter. I will try to do that what you suggested, but the color profiles. But if it doesn't get fixed via firmware before my 60-day return window, I will certainly return it. I mean, if you don't like how it looks, man, just return that thing and don't look back. Especially if you're complaining about the grain, that's not gonna go away with any firmware. If it looks grainy because of the coating and you don't like it, yeah, return that thing. Just get something different. Please, Victor says, please test the QD OLED because nobody on the internet has any idea what they're talking about. You literally can't find one good review. I'm not an expert, so I'm not going to be that guy who knows. But yeah, I don't think the reviews are bad. What I don't see covered on the reviews is the motion settings, especially if they have BFI and all that. But the BFI on the QD OLEDs is just that, BFI. So there's nothing mysterious about it. I know already what it is. A 60 FPS looks like 120 and you lose half the brightness. That's what it is. So there's nothing sophisticated about that. But yeah, I'll make 300 videos after when I get that QD OLED. Also, Asus is so much brighter and colorful with the burning features off. Yeah, Sony, for some reason, they don't like to let you turn off the dimming, which is, again, against accuracy. So Sony, reference monitor, accuracy, the winner of the TV shootout, the A95L, which is the king of TVs, you cannot turn off the dimming, which is going to affect the accuracy and the EOTF tracking. And then it has a messed up tone mapping. That's just, I don't know how I would not let that pass. It's bad, really bad. Yeah, Space Marine 2, I'm sure it's a good game. Or Black Myth Wukong. On textures, it is the same, and it doesn't look like 4K textures. The game is really good, though. Yeah, Black Myth Wukong is a great game, I'm sure. I will like it for sure. By the way, Plasma, did you hear about the Red Dead Redemption 1 remaster coming to PC? Under the features, Rockstar says they are including HDR10. Well, they better do. I mean, especially a remaster or remake. Do you think this is native HDR or RTX HDR? No, if they implement HDR, it's gonna be just normal HDR. They are not going to advertise that they include HDR if it's just RTX HDR, because that's not from them. That's just global HDR from Nvidia. But yeah, it should be good. I mean, getting HDR right should be easy. I mean, I don't know how they can get it wrong. Honestly, I don't understand. Hybrid says, I asked someone who got to view the G-Sync Pulsar monitor. Apparently, the VRR range goes down to 90 FPS by default, but it might be possible to get 60 hertz strobing. Oh, interesting. Now the question is if it flickers too much. So what he's talking about is probably the most clear monitor you can get. More clear than 480 hertz OLED, yes. More clear. How much more clear? More than double. It looks twice as good in motion. Now, the 480 hertz monitor is going to look more clean for sure. But this Nvidia Pulsar is clean enough that I don't think you're gonna see the defects, especially on gaming, because games already have some ghosting and some blurriness anyway. But the thing is, this monitor has VRR and flickering at the same time, and it has a range that's very big that works. So basically, you don't have to worry so much about your FPS dropping below the target. Now, what I would do is I would still lock the FPS. But now I don't have to be so concerned that it drops 2 or 3 frames. But I would not have just VRR, the game running wild, going up and down on the FPS. But this Nvidia Pulsar monitor or monitors are the clearest. It's a shame that they are LCDs. I wish they had dual layer LCD, so at least we can get that good contrast. That's why I was talking about the reference monitor and saying, man, Sony, if they use this technology, dual layer, and they do this strobing to get better motion, we could have the best monitor for gaming. So it could be very bright if it use a lot of power, 450 watts, like the reference monitor, and use the strobing. So I think basically we need an Nvidia Pulsar monitor that's a dual layer. So it looks, it's not gonna look as good as OLED, but it should look, the contrast should be very, very good. So if we get that, well, I would definitely buy that. Absolutely. Even if the contrast is not as good, it's gonna be good enough, and it's gonna be so clear with that technology. It will be crazy. Asus BFI doesn't have a lot of settings, right? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. It depends on the monitor, of course. PS3 textures incoming for Red Dead Redemption 1. Plasma, can you indicate me the percentage of brightness lost when you activate BFI at 60 Hz, targeting 120 with the C1? Well, there is no such thing. From 60 to 120, the C1 doesn't do that. C2, C3, C4, and the G series, they do. They just do from 60 to 120. So basically, when you have 60 FPS and you turn on this OLED motion, what happens is the TV is actually at 120 and it's inserting a black frame in between those 60 frames. So that's going to cut the brightness in half, at least, unless they tweak unless they are basically releasing more power or they are tweaking something when you turn it on, which I don't think so. So you're cutting the brightness in half. So that answers your question for those ones, the C2, C3, C4. But for the C1, that's not what happens, because the C1 At 60 doesn't do black frame insertion. What it does a rolling scan. That's what the C1 does. So it shows you the frame left to right, top to bottom, as usual. But when it draws the frame left to right, top to bottom, and it has like from 33 to 38% of the frame. So you start drawing the frame left to right. Let's say we record a C1 with a super slow motion camera, which I don't have. You would see the pixels draw left to right, top to bottom. And once you have 33 to 38%, and I say that because I don't know for sure, I guess it is 33, but on my testing is 38. So basically based on the motion I see. So after you see that part of the frame, it's going to keep scanning the frame. So think about sample on hold would show you the entire frame. So it goes left to right, top to bottom, and it will keep showing you the entire frame. And the frame will be there on the entire screen. The entire screen will be the frame until the next one comes, and the same thing happens. With the C1, that's not what happens. What happens is you see 33 to 38% of the frame, and then it is scanning that, and the rest is black. So it is scanning the frame, and the rest is black. So you, in that way, you reduce the frame visibility time, the pixel visibility time, and that's how you improve motion. So now what is going to be the brightness loss when you do that? Based on the Talbot-Plateau's law, you would lose 77% brightness. If you do 33, you would lose 77% brightness. You do the math. 77 plus 33 would be 100. I'm sorry, 27. 27 plus 33 will be 100. But if it's 38, then will be 62%. Okay, I'm sorry, I got the math messed up. So if it is 33 scanning, then 33 plus 67 would be 100. And if it's 38 plus 62 will be 100. So basically the brightness loss is gonna be from 62 to 67. But actually the C1 at 60, I believe it is pushing more brightness when you turn that on. So then it is no longer, that's not going to be the case anymore. So it is probably like half or maybe even less, because they are actually pushing more brightness. And the reason why they are pushing more brightness is because the section of the screen that you are scanning, it is a lower window size. So because it is a lower window size, the OLED can push more brightness. And that's what they did. They actually pushed a little bit more brightness. So as a consequence, I don't think you're losing, over 60% brightness. I don't think so. So you're probably losing like 50% or maybe even a little bit less. I don't know, because I don't have a color imager to measure that. But it is bright enough. The problem is that it flickers. For some people, it's going to be unusable at 60. But the thing is, you can use it at 100 and 120. And at 100 and 120, it is dimmer, significantly dimmer than at 60. So probably at 100 and 120, yes, you're losing all that brightness. Over 60%. Probably 70% or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, at 100, 120, it doesn't flicker anymore that much. When I try to bring the extended color spaces by lowering blacks, as in your video, some games keep increasing the numbers on the color space as I keep lowering it. How to know what's the sweet spot? Yeah, when you lower the black floor, the color saturation, you increase the color saturation. Why? I don't know. I don't know. But there's no sweet spot when it comes to how much you have to lower the black floor. You have to lower it until it is 0. You don't want to keep lowering it just because you get a more colorful picture, because there's more ways to increase the color saturation with reshape. So the black floor should just be perfect, 0. And then just if you want a more color saturation, just use something else to get more colors. Noel says, will the 5090 be able to handle most games today, 4K 240? So here's what I think. With the 5090, they have to improve the frame generation, and now you have 3x, 4x, and maybe even more. Probably 4x is reasonable to expect. So I mean, a 5090 can do 60 for sure in every game. So from 60, 4x, you get 240. So with frame gen, the 4090 should definitely be able to give you max out settings. Even if you have to use some upscaling, with frame generation, you can get 240. But raw performance, like no upscaling, 4K, 240 frames per second, no way. And also, if the 5090 is not gonna even be the problem. The CPU is not gonna give you over 100 frames, especially with max out settings. These games are not running well, and just the CPU limitation, you're not gonna get 240 FPS in AAA games. And the thing is, we need more power, yes, but it is always up to the developers what they want to do. What they do is they all the time, new GPU comes out, they want to use that, they want to show off their game, look better. They want maybe Digital Foundry to make a video and hype up the ray tracing and all of that. And it doesn't matter if you have a 5090. At 4K, you're getting 20 frames. And so that's not going, that idea is not going away. They are going to use that 5090 and give you a 24, a true cinematic experience with a 4090 or 5090, whatever. They don't care how much power they have available. They want to max out the quality of the pixels. So you can never get what we really need, which is it's crazy. By example, Flies Simulator 2020. It never shows Rec 2020 until it is too dark. Yeah, but don't worry too much about having HDR colors, because most of the time it is normal that you just have SDR colors. And if you never see it but it looks good, that's okay. As long as it looks good, it doesn't look washed out, the black floor is perfect. That's all you can expect. The rest is up to the developer. How do you stream on Twitch? I don't even have the Twitch app installed. But yeah, I have to try more the social other things with social media. The only thing that I have is YouTube. I've never even used anything else that's not YouTube. I don't use Facebook. I don't use TikTok, Twitch, Spotify, nothing. I only use YouTube. I didn't have internet 6 years ago, so I'm completely new to all this stuff. No LP, we can't tell, but probably no. And it will still be limited to 4K 144 hertz on TVs. Has anyone tried the GXCX for motion for 60 FPS BFI? I heard it is like 240 FPS, but want to know about what brightness is left, lol. So the CX, based on reports from my viewers, it is actually as good at 60, as clear, let's say. It is as clear at 60 than 120. So you get the same motion clarity. And the difference is at 60, it is darker and it flickers more. So, and they also say I have some reports from people who have the C1 and the CX, and they tested it, and they say that the CX looks exactly the same at 60 than the C1 at 120 than the CX at 120. So that's nice. The thing is, if it flickers too much and it is unusable, then, but for some people it might not be a deal breaker. It might be nice. So I think I would like the C1 to have that super aggressive, just scrolling, very short pulse. I would love that, but maybe it is unusable for me. But I would like to have it. So yeah, the CX, GX, very interesting. At 60, they look very clear. Hybrid says Nvidia confirmed their new G-Sync module works on OLED. They are just focusing on LCD first. It is only a matter of time. Yeah, but the problem I see, by the way, Hybrid, let's do another live stream. I don't know how to add someone here, but if I hit here, invite, I guess, I think I can send you this link. Do you want to come in? We can maybe hang around for 20 minutes or so. I can send you this to your email if you want to come in. Maybe let's do it another day and let's do it together, and we'll announce the live stream, not like this one that was like random. We can announce the live stream and then do it. Let's do a live stream together. Again, this is my favorite thing to do, live streams. This is so addictive, you have no idea. I can be doing this all day long. It is so crazy, man. Like, I've been here for 2 hours without even drinking water, nothing. This is so, I understand why someone like these people who stream all day long, like Mongol, he's like reading the comments, and the comments are like crazy. He never stops doing that. It is addictive. It's like, I don't know why. It is. I like it. I like this more than doing videos. So yeah, let's do another live stream. Yeah, I think what I was gonna say is that the problem is the Nvidia certification requires a brightness standard, and OLED's not gonna get there. So basically, Nvidia ULMB 2.0, that branding, which is different. This pulsar is something else, but the branding requires, this brightness at 100% window. This, so that specifications, the OLED is not gonna be able to get there. So for OLED, they have to have a different naming. So I want them to do it, absolutely. But the thing is, with OLED, it's not gonna be that bright, not even close. Hybrid says, I'm down with another stream. What would be the topic about? You tell me. You're the expert. I don't know. Let's talk about how to make a game. Let's talk about what can we you, as someone who knows about Unreal Engine or programming or design, or how to use the tools that developers have available. Let's talk about, it's like advice for the developers or something. It's like, hey, even if you could, I think it would be great if you can open the Unreal Engine editor or something and have a character on screen or something, and say, hey, look, they are using this setting. Take a look at how blurry this is. Why don't they just change it to this one and see how much better the game looks? Okay, let's take a look at the FPS difference. It actually runs about the same, something like that, where we can not expose, but show, hey, this is what I think most games are using with Unreal Engine, TAA, or whatever. Let's say if there's a different, let's see if there's a different anti-aliasing option, or if there's a way to make the game look sharp and good in motion or something like that, or just talk about in general the direction that we want from the games when it comes to the visual quality. And in my opinion, it is not the direction that, or for at least what I want, it's not what Digital Foundry likes, basically. And it is okay. They like that. It's okay. It's just a matter of opinion, taste. That's not what I want. I don't want ray tracing, lower the pixels, and then increase the quality. That's not of the pixels. So quantity of the pixels go down, quality of the pixels goes up. I don't like that. That's not what I want. Or at least if it doesn't work. So yeah, let's talk about something like that. So yeah, I made a site that shows all Unreal Engine console commands. There's another sites like it, but they're all outdated. So I have some resources for developers and gamers. Yeah, that's what we need. We definitely need that. So yeah, let's get together another day. We'll finish in a moment here. Let me try to cover all these comments and so we have, okay, so we're here with the Pulsar for OLED. Yeah, give me that. Pulsar OLED monitor with a glossy finish, so I can buy it, please. If they come out with an Nvidia Pulsar OLED monitor with a matte finish, it's like who decided that? Just shoot that guy in the head, bro. Just crazy. So yeah, I hope it has a glossy finish. So yeah, I would buy it for sure. I would get that. And make it big. So just give me a TV size with that. It would be good to have a Pulsar on the TV on the future. Absolutely. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, Pulsar thing is definitely with LCD backlight, but let's see. I mean, they can do the rolling scan. They know, man. They know how to do it. They know for sure. Benny says it is weird because the PlayStation remaster of Red Dead Redemption 1 didn't include any HDR, but the PC one will. They always find a way to make a reason to rebuy their games. Yes, they need to insert black frames instead, but it's not hard to make that change. Yeah, but the thing is, man, for OLED, inserting black frames, I don't think is the best way to go because of the ABL limitations. See, with LCD, you can flash the entire screen because you have a lot more full screen brightness. With OLED, you cannot flash the entire screen, or you cannot. The black frame insertion is going to lose too much brightness. My idea is just do what the C1 does, those rolling scan. And that, I think that with that on a small, so the thing is, the shorter the pulse, the brighter it can be with OLED, because OLEDs have ABL limitations. So if you have a 15% window size here, you can get 15% window or even 10% window size with more brightness. So if you have a 10% window size that is 1000 nits or 1500 nits, now we're talking about we're talking about a massive motion clarity improvement, and it's still bright enough. So that's what we need. I don't know why is that difficult to do. I'm sure they know that. They know better than me. They know. They don't do it. I don't know why. Huge Vibe says, no, it is an entirely different technique. If you do VRR with BFI, you get flicker or stutter to combat it because of uneven frames. Yeah, so the thing is, there has to be a window. Of course, if you go too low, you're gonna see the flickering. But it should be possible. It should be possible. They did it with LCDs. It should be possible. How? I don't know exactly how, but they can figure it out. If they try, they can really figure that out. Using the rolling scan technique, Plasma is describing here. VRR could be done, but it is all theoretical. So basically, it's they can do the same that the LCD is doing. I don't know. I don't know why not. I don't see why not. I don't see why not. Yeah, 120. I mean, I think that I wish the C1 had more, options with the BFI, had more like at 90 hertz, 85 hertz, to see how basically for a monitor, TV, whatever, to have to be the best doing strobing and all of that, we need to have the ability to change the width of the pulse. So we need to have the ability to change the flickering more or less, because it depends on the person. The flickering perception depends on the person. So what is the best? The best is get the pulse or reduce the frame visibility time as much as possible until you start seeing flickering. And once you start noticing the flickering, you individually, like each person, flickering perception is different. Someone might look at the C1 with 60 BFI and say, man, that's eye-searing. I cannot even look at that. It's so flickering so much. And someone else might not even notice anything. Okay, it depends on the person. So if it depends on the person, you need to give me the settings to lower it as much as possible until I can notice it. See? So in that way, I can get the best motion clarity possible for myself. See? Someone else might need to have more frame visibility time and less clarity. So settings are key for a great monitor with a strobing. The most important thing, in my opinion, is give me all the controls. And it's like overclocking your GPU. You have to become almost an expert to know exactly how much this or that. That's okay. Give me that expert mode. And I don't think that should be something very difficult to do. I don't know. I don't see why. Some LCD monitors, they do give you the options, because Blurbuster's chief, helped them develop the monitor. Of course, he knows. So of course, they give you the settings, and there is a software for that because he knows and he's the man. So just hire him or something. Joyce says, is it possible to calibrate HDR monitors with a colorimeter? If they have no settings, what are you going to calibrate? I don't know. I guess the only way is to create an ICC profile. So basically, imagine your monitor is not following the EOTF at all. You just have to change the content to make it look accurate. You can change the content with an ICC profile, or you can use reshade to change the white balance any way you want. So you can calibrate with reshade. How can you do that? I guess you have a colorimeter and you insert test patterns on reshade and you calibrate. So then you just use that shader for gaming. So it looks accurate for gaming. Outside on Windows, it's gonna be messed up. So for Windows, you have to do an ICC profile. I don't know how to do that. I have no idea. I don't know how to calibrate. I would like to learn, but the thing is, I'm not paying what common or any of these programs for calibration cost, because I don't need it. I just have one TV. It looks good. I wouldn't spend that money, but in the future, maybe I'll get into it and learn. Hybrid says, I know it is a different technique. You get flicker with VRR combined with strobing as well. Despite working differently, they both have the same flaws and advantages. There are extremely similar. I'm just quoting Nvidia. They could have meant their G-Sync module except Pulsar, but didn't say that part out loud. Yeah, let's hope for the best. Nvidia, I mean, they know. This probably Nvidia. I mean, these companies, of course, they all of them, they have very competent people, but Nvidia is probably the one with more brain power. They have people who know everything about everything. And starting with Jensen, they say that Jensen is like a genius. Like, he knows. Like, he would go to any department and know about that stuff. He's not like a big boss that knows nothing, or he's a guy. So yeah, they know the stuff. So Huge Vice says, I think so, because the only reason Pulsar works is because they decouple the strobe sync from the refresh rate. Yeah. I don't know, how to make it work. It's complicated. Mr. M says, we need your expertise settings for Silent Hill 2 remake for HDR mode. It has slider for max, mids, and minimum sliders, so that's a good start. Hope you're gonna look at it soon. I mean, Gaming Tech made a video about it. What I think is the HDR doesn't need that many sliders. That thing looks like they were trying to get it right, and finally they gave up and said, you know what? Let's just give them all the sliders, and let's let the gamers figure it out. We just gave up already. This thing looks messed up. That's what it looks like to me. So yeah, I mean, my question would be, is SDR looking right near black? Does it look better near black? Is it washed out, the same washed out as HDR, or is it different? And if SDR looks right, then use RTX HDR or Major Paint the Cactus or Windows 11 Auto HDR. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, I'll try that game one of these days. I'll try, but I am not doing for every game, like, HDR settings, because I try to generalize so you can use that to set up the settings yourself. For that specific each game settings, I think we have Gaming Tech, and he does a great job. But yeah, I might, once in a while check out the HDR settings of a game or something like that. Yeah, let's do another stream. No, LP, what game should I play during the hurricane in Florida? Oh man, that sucks. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, hopefully you still have lights. In Cuba, when we had a hurricane, they cut the lights, and the problem is you had no electricity for 1 or 2 days, or sometimes even longer. And then when they have the lights back up again, then something breaks or explodes or something, then you have no lights for a very long time, because the cables are underneath the ground, and then with the water and humidity and all of that, it gets messed up. So yeah, it's a mess. AK says, hey, can anyone please help me? My LG V10 65-inch had issues with turning itself off and on. LG V10. Maybe I don't know what that is. Which model is that? Also, there is banding dirty screen effect. LG didn't want to help first time. Also, the dirty screen effect and banding. Like if you look at gray, the grayscale, full screen pictures of the grayscale, especially near black, is normal. That you see, terrible uniformity with WRGB OLEDs. QD OLEDs are better, but they still gonna show you some, uniformity issues. But turning it itself on and off, that's a mess. So I don't know what to tell you about that. It looks like a bad sample. LG should replace that, especially if it's new. I don't know what is that V10. Rimla says, Plasma, how much does the input lag increase when using BF5 with the C1? I believe it is 10 milliseconds without BF5 at 60 and 5 at 120. But I think it's, I don't know, because I don't have an instrument to measure that. But I think I read one time it was 10 or 11 milliseconds at 120, and it was probably double than that at 60. So at 60 is like one frame, like 16, 17 milliseconds or a little bit more, and then at 120 it's like one frame too. It's like 8-10 milliseconds. So yeah, but the thing is, the latency at 120 is gonna be a lot less just because of the render latency. So it's gonna feel responsive. Those 10, 11, 15, 20 milliseconds or something like that, I don't think that's gonna matter. Yeah, there are some people who play competitive, but if you play competitive, you get a 240 or higher refresh rate display. I think these TVs are just to get the best picture quality. But now with high refresh OLED monitors, we can get both. Yeah, so we read this one already. I just want to say I love your channel. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you being here. Same for path tracing and ray tracing, reconstruction, and cyberpunk. They praised it, but for me, both are good for screenshots only. Yeah, Digital Foundry. Yeah, that's what they are. That's what they like. The cutting edge, the state of the art technologies, and that's perfectly fine. I have nothing against what they prefer, but that's not what I prefer. I'm okay with pushing the boundaries, but without so much sacrifice. I understand you have to sacrifice something, but my opinion, the sharpness and the clarity of the games are suffering way too much just for better lighting and shadows and stuff. Technicians came, play with the remote for 2 minutes and left. I complained many times, also sent them 50, 60 pictures and videos. He came for the second time, replaced the main board, and after that, my brightness is, the picture quality looks so much better with normal RT or, okay. Well, after that, my brightness is, it's very low and color is very washed out. Looks like very cheap TV now. They don't want to help at all now. Well, it kind of sucks. I don't know why if they replace the main board, you're gonna see any changes in the brightness if they don't replace the panel. That's weird, man. I mean, it sucks. There's always it doesn't matter which TV or monitor it is. There's always a bad sample. There's always one that's messed up. If you cannot return it, then they're stuck with it. Hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully you can get a better solution. The picture quality looks so much better with normal RT or raster, and you can run higher resolution. Yeah, I hope with of course, with the new GPUs, turning on ray tracing should be less of a hit. My LG OLED does tone mapping, avoiding highlights clipping. I turn games HDR peak brightness to the max, like 10,000 nits. I feel like it looks better than capping them to my TV brightness. Am I wrong and biased? No, you're gonna get clipping. So for the LG OLEDs to do tone mapping with 10,000 nits, you have to go to the HDMI signaling override secret menu and change the mastering peak max CLL to 10,000. And if you do that, it's gonna look, it doesn't look great because it has to roll off too much. So the highlights are not going to look so, they're gonna look less punchy. You don't want to do that. You want to, it's better to use HGIG and then do tone mapping on the content. That's better. It's gonna look better for sure. Yeah, I fully agree on the BFI settings. Hopefully we get a RetroTink 8K soon with HDMI 2.0 so we can do 4K 120 BFI with settings using that. So the thing is, you cannot get lower persistence than the refresh rate of the display using something like that, something like a RetroTink or something. So basically software BFI, or even with that, you cannot. Maybe there is a way that I'm not aware of, but I don't believe so. And actually, I asked the Blurbusters chief, I sent him an email one time asking him some of these questions. And yeah, he basically, I don't want to say something that he didn't say, but that's the idea I got from what he said, let's say. Because he did answer my emails. He was nice, to help me out, because he saw, oh, this guy's talking about motion clarity and he doesn't understand it, so let me show him so he can understand it, and and teach the right message, right? So he did answer my questions and all of that. So what I got away from that is that, yeah, you cannot. So basically, that external device to do BFI or strobing, that's not gonna work. To get better or lower than the refresh rate of the monitor. So basically, the monitor is 240 hertz. Best you can get is 4 milliseconds of persistence, sample and hold. And any software BFI or something external like that is not going to give you lower than 4 milliseconds. Speaking of blur busters, the chief wanted me to find some Quest writers for him. Would you be interested in writing an article sometime? It can be about strobing, HDR, etc. Quest writers for him. I would do anything for him. If he asked me anything, I would do it. I just have so much respect for him. He's the man. But I'm not a good writer. English is not even my native language. But if he wants, if he asked me anything, I would try to do it. Dre Style says huge vibes and RetroTink AK will probably cost the price of a TV. My first question: what do you think of this gaming TV? 645. I don't know what that is. Is that a TCL, a lower end TCL TV? Can I make HDR look good on my TV? 645. I don't know. If you play Silent Hill 2 Remake, I already made a mod for it to reduce ghosting and stuff. Okay, sounds good. I'll definitely check it out if I get the game. Silent Hill 2 is perfect example how Unreal Engine 5 looks and runs. Very bad, right? You don't know everything about monitors. Do You know everything about monitors. Oh, I don't. Watching this on my CRT. 2048 by 1152 resolution. The thing is, the CRT doesn't need a lot of, doesn't need a very high resolution. It looks sharp, whatever. It doesn't matter. You can change the resolution. It looks like non-native resolutions look sharp. It doesn't even have native resolution. My only problem with CRT is the size. I just want it huge. At least 30-inch CRT. That's 2K, and 100 hertz. That would be perfect. But yeah, we didn't get that. And of course, 16:9 aspect ratio or 16:10. Hey, Plasma, you should work somewhere related to HDR and 3D stuff. You know a lot. You make more sense than game developers. I would definitely like to get a job at one of these, Asus, TCL, Hisense, Samsung, one of these monitor companies, and have the power to say, hey, let's make a monitor to cater to the CRT enthusiast, to this, or to cater just to gamers to have the best motion clarity. And I don't know anything about how to program the software or do the hardware or voltages and power. I know nothing about that. I would need to learn a lot and be a lot more competent. But what I do know is basically what I can give them is the direction to make a product that I want. It's that simple. So I can basically tell them, hey, I want this. Let's give me these settings, give me these options. Let's make it accurate. Let's make it accurate with a strobing. Have you ever seen a monitor or a TV trying to be accurate with a strobing after reducing the persistence? Because what happens is you use a strobing and then suddenly the gamma looks wrong. You're crushing blacks. It's too dark. So nobody likes it. That's why the technology has such a not bad reputation, because most people don't know about the strobing at all. But on the reviews, basically, they turn it on. Oh, it looks dark. It flickers. I don't like it. Nobody's going to use it. Like HTTV test, he would say something like, it's not even worth using. So I'm not even going to. So he says, basically, you turn it on, flickers, it gets dark, it's inaccurate. Who cares? And yeah, if it's like that, he's right. But I would make a monitor, or I would direct the experts to make a monitor where you can use a strobing, but it looks right. The gamma is right. How can you do that? Just calibrate the damn thing. Okay, work on it. And if you do that, then you have settings to adjust. So if it flickers for you, you can reduce the flickering, get a little bit more brightness, but still looks accurate. It would be great. It would be great. So yeah, I'm not an expert, but I would love to get involved somehow in the creation of a monitor or TV, just to make sure that we get all the settings, we get all the features that we really need, for sure. Fun video idea. Explore streaming games with HDR enabled to YouTube and figure out the best settings. Well, that's there's a YouTube channel I have to check out for that kind of stuff. A red beard guy. He knows about all that stuff. How's it going, Rodrigo? He says, I got too late to this live stream? Well, I'm almost done. It's 2 hours and a half. I'll be done in a moment. I'll do more. My TA video is about to hit 1 million views, probably sometime this month. Yeah, video exploded. I don't have any videos on this channel that has become like how do you say this? Forgot, like a hit. Like it has a lot of views. I have some videos that have with good views, but not like hundreds of thousands. I don't have any video with 100,000 views. no LPs. You could be a product manager. Well, I like that, especially the income manager. If it has that word, we're talking about big money. So I like that directly. So basically, I don't know anything about the lower end positions. I go directly straight up manager of aces. Of course, I cannot do that, but I don't know, man. Just a phone call or something to get involved with one of these monitors will be great. Vincent is to blame for LG nerfing BFI after the C1. I don't think he has that much power. But yeah, he doesn't like BFI because it's not accurate. But let's make it accurate. So why, he doesn't say, hey, feature is great. The motion clarity is fantastic. It doesn't flicker to my eyes at 120. But it's not accurate. So LG, you could do this and that. Or maybe he can show a way to calibrate it with his instruments and say, hey, we got this accurate, that it basically is SDR accurate by changing this and that or whatever. I don't know. He could support it, basically. But everyone does whatever he wants. So that's the beauty of YouTube. You can say whatever you want. So that's to him. I'm looking for a good new gaming monitor to buy for my grandchild. Is the Sony Trinitron FW900 a good monitor? Absolutely. Good luck with that. You're gonna pay a lot of money to get one of those, unless you have a neighbor who doesn't know anything about it. That viral, yeah, that's right. So yeah, that's a great monitor. That's probably one of the best CRTs you can get for gaming. Because it's 16:10 aspect ratio, is 24 inches, and it has 2 milliseconds of persistence, I believe. Which is not great, but it's very good motion. It's like 480 hertz like motion, and yeah, good colors, everything. Just make sure it's not too dim, because some of them are too old, so they become dim over time. Hybrid says viral. Yes, in order to make a viral video, you have to use good tags. Title and cross posting to other social media helps. Yeah, I've used tags in the past, but 99% of my videos don't have any tags whatsoever, like no tags. And that's so important, because that's like the keywords. So if someone types in, best HDR or something like that, the tags is gonna help them find the video. My videos don't have tags at all. So yeah, and the thumbnail is me with I take a picture of the video, and then I use my pen, the pen of the phone, to write down whatever I am talking about. And I have no other social media. So yeah, I think I've been doing pretty well on this channel, like that. But yeah, I would like to have a viral video. But yeah, when you get a viral video, I'm sure you get a lot of comments that are. And the thing is, if you want to answer all the comments, that's gonna be a nightmare. It's gonna be tough. I like to answer all the comments. I think so far on this channel, I've replied to everything, unless it's like a very negative comments or something like that. I don't reply. But anyone who asks for help here on the channel, I reply to that comment for sure. Thoughts on a Special K? A Special K is good, but you have to tweak. For me, the gamma, it doesn't look right. I have to be going up and down, and yeah, that's why I've never promoted it that much. But I have to go back to it. A Special K is a very powerful tool. But for HDR, I don't think it's the best option. But I have to try it more, especially because you can use a special K and then have reshade as a plugin, like have it inside the special K. Thank you. Rodrigo says, have you ever think about making a video about gaming in Cuba? I think it would be very interesting. Well, I'll tell you what gaming in Cuba is all about. You need an external hard drive so you can get your games. That's where you get your games from. Okay. You need to know some friends. Yeah, you need to have some friends with games. So then what you do is you go to a friend's house with your external hard drive. You get all his games, and then you go to someone else, another friend. You give him those games. He gives you other games, and you go back to your friend and say, hey, you know what? Now get these games. So the next time he calls you when he has new games. So that's how it works. You need a big external hard drive and a lot of connections. So when something new pops up, you go and get it. Now you need to be, if you find someone who has all the games, you need to still call your older friends and say, hey, you know what, I got this new thing. So you need to move around to get your games. That's how it works, because there's no bank accounts, there's no electronic payments, there's no connection to any server, nothing, none of that. And of course, we're talking about very low-end PC gaming. I mean, Cuba, this PC like what I have here in Cuba right now, this PC would cost a fortune, triple the price that what I paid for it. It would be crazy expensive. Yeah, if you can't even find it. Should I be using game mode on PC gaming with my LG OLED? Yeah, why not? Absolutely. Maybe you're asking because of the brightness in game mode. It's not as good. That's normal. LG OLEDs look brighter in cinema home, vivid mode. If you of course you change the settings. Then game optimizer mode. But yeah, game optimizer mode is gonna give you the low input lags. Even if you have the ALLM checkbox that you can check, it's still it's not as good as game optimizer mode. So yeah, I would definitely use that. Hybrid says, well, from what I've seen by art teams, the best 120 hertz OLED TV is the Samsung QN95B. It looked clearer than the C1 from their test. So you're talking about not OLED TV, you're talking about the strobing. Because the QN95B is not an OLED. That's an LCD. I believe so. I think that's the one that Gaming Tech used to have. But I'm not sure though. But I'll tell you, the Sony KRB 855, something like that. I forgot the model. The one I tested, I have a video about it. I said, oh, this TV has CRT-like motion at just 60 FPS. It does. That's definitely the clearest non-CRT motion I've seen at 60 FPS. And the crosstalk was minimal. The TV is fantastic. So Sony knows how to do it. I don't know why they stopped doing it. It's crazy. You can rejuvenize the tube if too dim. I don't know how. I didn't know. I thought if the tube of the CRT was dead, then yeah, no, nothing you can do. Would you talk about HDR and TV calibration on a first date? Of course not. I'll talk about anything but gaming or HDR, none of that. I mean, girls don't know anything about that. Most girls don't know anything about gaming. That's why it is surprising to see so many developers now that are girls. I don't think I've ever meet any girl that even play a game, let alone becoming a developer, know how to program and all this stuff. That's not the area of interest for most girls. So yeah, most of them, they don't care. Of course, there are some girls that play games, but yeah, the circle of interest about gaming and all this technology stuff is mostly men. For example, this YouTube channel, I have like less than 2% is girls watching, and I don't know how YouTube knows if you're a girl or a man. I don't know how. So go figure. But yeah, most girls don't care about none of that stuff, so you don't want to be talking about that at all. Unless they have pink hair, maybe they are a developer or something. That's a joke, of course. The last best BFI TVs from each brand are the following: Sony A90J, Samsung QN95B, LG G1, Panasonic JZ2000. Someone needs to do a comparison of all these. Someone rich. Yeah, again, that. So you're saying the BFI, you're not saying OLED. Okay. I think that the Sony 4K with the same technology that the Sony I shared, that might be the best motion for a TV. But I don't know. Yeah, I would like to test those TVs, because the thing is, you go back and you watch a review from any of those TVs, and there's no motion clarity analysis whatsoever. There's that testing needs to be done, and it's very easy to do. Very, very easy. You just open the UFO test and you figure that out immediately. But yeah, nobody knows about motion clarity. They don't care, or they ignore it. Okay, I mean, LG C1 colors. By the way, I'll finish in 10-15 minutes. Yeah, it's too much. It's 2 hours and 42 minutes. That's crazy. I'm gonna go to sleep already. I mean, LG C1 colors and brightness were perfect after technicians swapped mainboard. Brightness is down like 30 to 40% and colors look washed out. Can backlight LG don't want to help now? I don't know, man. So you're saying it was looking perfect after they swapped the main board, but the brightness is down? So you mean they fixed the problem, but now the brightness is down? That's weird. I don't know, why would that happen? I don't know, man. I have no idea. You help me out providing clear information about HDR. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. Hybrid says most of my comments on TAA video are, I just thought my vision was getting worse, or I thought I was going crazy. It seems most people noticeable, but don't know what it is called. Yeah, they a lot of people think, oh, games used to look a lot sharper to me, so, but it has to be my eyes, right? Because new games are supposed to look better now, right? Yeah, that makes sense. I remember going to LAN gaming parties years ago, and we all exchanged all the cracked games and movies between each other. Fun times, lol. Yeah, I guess you mean LAN game parties. So you play on a local network. Yeah, I recently bought 42 inch C4 TV and noticed that the TV dimming too much with a specific 3 colors: magenta, cyan, and yellow. Is it because my settings are wrong, or is this a universal problem? Well, if you know enough to identify that specifically the colors magenta, cyan, and yellow look less, look dimmer, or they have less saturation. Maybe it's just the WRGB OLED limitation. I'm not sure what you're comparing it to, because anything is bright or dim or more saturated in comparison to something by itself. You get an OLED and it looks great. If for people who complain, oh, my OLED is not bright enough, they were coming from an LCD. So as a comparison, yes, it's not as bright. So it depends on what you're comparing that to. I think the colors of my C1 are they are not good at all. Okay, because I was unhappy with the colors coming from a plasma, an old plasma TV that was not even a high-end plasma. So yeah, that tells you a lot. I mean, it's not great at all. So yeah, especially full screen colors. You don't have like no reds. Thank you, bro. Love your content. Hope you continue to grow. You've been so helpful. Many blessings. Thank you very much. Why was your comment deleted? Well, it wasn't me. Maybe if you post something, I think YouTube still checks the comments for a moment, and they search for keywords. Like if you mention something with a keyword that they flag, then they delete the comment. Question: I got an LG Ultra Gear 27 GN800B, but my HDR looks really washed out. Any fix or tips? So is that an OLED or an LCD? So if it looks washed out, first make sure you're trying a game or a movie or something that looks good, because you might think your monitor is broken if you're trying a game that looks terrible in HDR, and it has nothing to do with the monitor, it's just the game. So make sure first you're trying a game or a movie that actually looks good. And if it's a game, then use reshade to make it look good. Basically, change the source. So it doesn't really matter if this is something I want people to understand. It doesn't. So the calibration of the TV or the monitor is very important. And it is important that the monitor or TV on HDR is accurate. It is following the UTF as close as possible. So if the content is good, it looks good, then you can see it as it is, and it looks good. But if the calibration of your display is completely messed up, and somehow you can, with reshade, somehow you are able to change the source, it could look perfectly accurate on your display. It could look exactly the same as a reference monitor. The thing is, how can you have the expertise or the tools to change the source to make it look right? That's the thing that's the thing that if you have a reference monitor, it will be perfect. But the thing is, if you have a reference monitor, you need two PCs, because when you're changing with reshade, then the reference monitor is going to change. So you would have two PCs side by side with the reference monitor, something like that. But of course, the best thing is just use your eyes and try to make it look good to your eyes. And yeah, it's tough. It's tough too, but it is possible. It is definitely possible. If the problem is the calibration of your monitor, it is still possible to make it look perfect if you use, of course, with the brightness and contrast limitations of your display, but it is possible to make it look very, very good if you change the source, basically. What 240 hertz? That 240 hertz ViewSonic monitor has the best strobing I've ever seen, certified by Blur Busters. But it is 24-inch 1080p, but the strobing and the customization is perfect. Yeah, I think the chief needs to get involved in more of these monitors. Whatever he did with that monitor, they need to do that with. It looks like it was one, like they just did one product and then done, or something like. He needs to get his, basically, the Blurbusters chief and or whatever the organization he has behind him or whatever, they need to get more involved in all these monitors. I want to see their logo everywhere, because that means it's gonna be good, at least for when it comes to motion. Should you buy a new TV pre-calibrated for extra cost? What does it exactly do? And will it reset if you changing settings? Well, it is calibrating the TV. Yes, they can calibrate the TV, changing the white balance on the service menu, or they can change the settings using the regular settings available on the regular menus. And if you hit reset or you change those settings, yeah, you're changing that. But of course, you can just copy the settings and make sure you have them just in case a firmware update changes something. Although if a firmware update changes the picture quality, then the calibration no longer works. You have to do it again. And over time, maybe there's some technologies that might need to be recalibrated, and professionals recalibrate their monitors constantly, frequently. So yeah, it's not like one thing you can do one time and then forever have that looking as close to reference as possible. But in my opinion, TVs, high-end TVs are good enough that you don't have to pay for calibration. The thing is, the displays that really need calibration are probably not good enough for a calibration to be worth it, basically. And for the TVs that are very expensive, the calibration should be good enough. So yeah, it's like you spend $10,000 on that Hisense UX, enormous TV. Yeah, calibration makes a lot of sense, but that should be very well calibrated out of the box if it costs that much money. But maybe it is not, and it's totally worth it if you're spending $15,000 on a TV or something like that. But yeah, S95C, S90C, any of these QD OLEDs, LG G4, C4, I don't think you need a calibration for that, unless you want to use Dolby Vision, for example. And sometimes they have the Dolby Vision, broken. Yeah. So, but the calibration can definitely improve things, definitely. And I would like, if I had the choice to have the TV calibrated, it would be better. For example, you can calibrate your TV so it looks better than HGIG, so it is more accurate, and it takes advantage of the actual peak brightness of the TV better than what it is out of the box. It is, but the thing is, it costs money, a lot of money, $300, $400, $500. So yeah, it depends on the price of the TV, in my opinion. If it costs less than $2,000, will you pay $500 more for a calibration? Maybe not. But if it's 77-inch, 83, something like that, and you pay, $4,000 or more, yeah, maybe it makes sense. The Bravia 9 has BFI 120 hertz as well. Yeah, but is it 60 FPS to 120? If it's 120, how good it is? I haven't seen any reviews. I have to check with TKK. He has a Bravia 9. we have to collaborate to get that motion clarity. Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna stop at 3 hours, man, because this is too much. So I'm going to, let me see how many comments we have. Okay, so I'm going to, I'm gonna start from here and then read to the top, and then we'll finish. I do just never tried that with movies. Do you have an RTX GPU? Oh, it's nice. How well does it work? So he's talking about RTX HDR. A hybrid says, Chief told me when the pandemic happened, it hurt his business a bit. There were things in the work that were canceled. It set us back a little bit, but we'll bounce back. Yeah, I mean, that hurt everyone. A dumb question, but can you use reshade on Windows PC to make SDR movies look close to a native HDR movie? Yes. You can use reshade with it's called reshade plus MPV. So you can basically use reshade with that player. So you can go SDR to HDR and it works. But we have RTX HDR now, so that's not. Although RTX HDR video, I haven't tried on a player, but it should work. It works for YouTube. It should work for a player. Sample and whole blur is blurrier than TAA, but it is uniform and consistent, whereas TAA blurs looks uglier, and it has other side effects like ghosting, Vaseline, aesthetic, etc. So there's no clear winner. Yeah, TAA sucks. Bottom line, I think some sample and whole blur is more of a problem than TAA. Now, TAA is terrible. The G4 have much better. Of course, if you're getting 60 FPS sample and whole blur, it's gonna be a lot worse than TAA. There's no question about that. But yeah, for preservation purposes, TAA makes no sense. Basically, like imagine 20 years from now, you have the horsepower, and there's no way you can make that game look perfect. The G4 have much better post-processing, HDR and SDR brightness, but it is worth it or not depend on you. There's a new 55-inch Sony A80L for $500 on my area. I wonder how good is the motion clarity on this model. Well, for that price, if it's not broken, I mean, that's an OLED. I believe that A80L is an OLED. It's a WRGB, 55-inch WRGB OLED for $500. I mean, that's if it's not broken, just check that's in good shape. For work, what work do you IRL? What work do you IRL? I don't know what you mean. Will my C1 still be good for the new PS5? Of course. No way. G4 is better, but I would not upgrade. The Bravian. I would, you see, if you already have a WRGB OLED, get something different. And that's what I would do. I wouldn't get another WRGB OLED. I don't care how good it is. It needs to be different. So for it to feel like an upgrade. The Bravian I have the 5 ones. Okay, so let's leave it there, right? 3 hours. Yeah, this is crazy. In real life. So right now I am working as a data analyst. That's my job right now. I also do guitar classes. So if you want to learn how to play the guitar and shred like a monster with the fingers or with a pick, I know all the techniques. That's my area of expertise, how to play fast, the technique, the motion. Motion is my thing, so how to move the fingers is one thing I am very good at. And yeah, I love when someone that has been struggling for a while but has the skills. Because, for example, someone with a pick, everyone can do this fast. Anyone can do it. One string, that's easy. You can do that day one, no problem. But some people have been struggling trying to shred on the electric guitar for a very long time, but they cannot. They don't know how to go over the strings, so they can do scale up and down and like that. No? And when I show them the trick, and they are like, "Wow, I can do it like right now! Like it works immediately." It's like, boom. So yeah, I'm very good at it. I'm very good with the guitar classes. So that's another thing that I do, and I do YouTube. So that's my real life too. It's a side job, believe it or not. It has become a job. So yeah, let's leave it there, man. Thanks for everyone who showed up. You guys take care. I'm gonna go to sleep. Have a good one. Bye.